Good evening, everybody. Me again, Patricia Windrow at the Cable Easel, with a program which is live this time, and that means that you can call me. Telephone 348-6800 if you have any questions, or if you would just want to gab about art or painting, do it. This is the time to do it. It's once a month that I'm here live, and the rest of the time I'm taped, so we might talk. This evening, this is a celebration of fall, I think, or the celebration of the coming of a most spectacular period in the year, which is the most colorful, I think. Despite the fact that summer and spring bring fabulous flowers, this is the harvest. And so I picked Mike Fagan and I, cameraman par excellence, picked this scene today, which is the Alexander Beck Jr. Farmstand in Setauket on Route 25A. It is a perfectly wonderful place, and if you are lit up by color and flowers and pumpkins and the fall harvest, by all means, see if you can just jog on up to 25A in Setauket and find the Beck Farmstand. Here it is. Here's a long shot of probably the most remarkable chrysanthemum display this side of the Bronx Botanical Gardens, and this is what sort of turned the whole idea of this program on, is the display of the pumpkins and the chrysanthemums. I'm going to start this thing exactly the way I start all the others. The only difference is there's going to be very little sky. The sky is going to occupy a very short and a very small part of the composition. I'm just sort of laying it in. There's some trees in the background. There's a wonderful, huge, dark copper beech, as you can see back there. I mean, a really wonderful pinpoint of very dark, dramatic color. And then the rest of it is other nice little pointy pine trees of Long Island, which and cedar trees, which we're so fond of. And there is the general first part of the layout in this painting, which hopefully is going to be extremely colorful. Peeking out from the left side of this picture is the roof line of the Catholic Church up there. I'm not going to make much of it, because first of all, you don't see much of it, and secondly, that's not a composition about the church. It's a composition about the flower stand that is just across the street from it. So there is just a sort of a general suggestion of that church, the church wall, and then there's a little island of traffic in the middle here, which 25A is to the right, but here comes the wonderful diagonal pattern of those chrysanthemums. When I lay this out, I think that you can readily see that I'm concerned with the general accuracy of the layout. These are radiating lines. They are going into the right away. You can see that they are going off somewhere. And here is one which is a little bit less acute, and it's coming toward you. And it ends here. This little line of chrysanthemums ends there. And then here is another row of chrysanthemums coming along, all in pots and really inexpensive. I mean, this is not a commercial for the Beck Farms, but it's certainly, I got to tell you, that you can buy 4 huge chrysanthemum plants for $10. That's $2.50 a plant. That's pretty astonishing. And here is this nice barrel, this nice basket rather, this harvest basket, which I didn't do this. They turned it upside down and stuck a potted chrysanthemum on the top, which in its own way has an artistic value all its own. And here are those wonderful mauve flowers in it. The chrysanthemums, of course, come in tremendous variety of colors. And then I must admit that I put these two pumpkins down here just for composition, to give you some idea of the size of the pumpkins that they have there. They don't have what you would call impossible to lift pumpkins, but they sure have got a wonderful variety of all sorts of ones. So if you're thinking about that, do go up and visit the Becks. The Becks have been around since the 30s. This is now Al Beck Jr., who is the tender age of 33 years old and running this enormous enterprise. So you got to hand it to these amazingly active and courageous working people. I'm going to put another row here because there was another row. It's a little bit out of the picture, but it's going to go there. All right, so here we have a layout, not many lines, but just a general feeling of where all these component parts go. Sky, distance, greenery, and then the foreground, which is why we're here doing this. Phone call. Good. Hello there. Tell me your name, please.
Good evening, Pat. This is Jean.
Yeah, Jean.
I just wanted to compliment you for the beautiful work that you do, and seemingly so easily. My problem is I've started painting maybe a year and a half ago, but my problem is selecting the right brushes, and I was just wondering, what is the brush you're using to sketch out the picture this evening, and what selection of brushes would you recommend for a beginner?
Okay, Jean, I will tell you that I have a sheet prepared for people like you that want to have this information, and if you write to the station here at 1600 Motor Parkway, you will get an answer immediately. Our secretary Judy will send you off one, but to be more specific, I am using a brush made in Israel. It's called Recab. It's a number 5 striping brush with a nice, wonderful long, that's what I do this with a wonderful long, flexible red sable quills, or rather hairs. So that's the answer to the question about brushes.
Right.
The rest of it is you can get it on a nicely prepared and very concise list of what you start out with, and I believe that should be very helpful. All you have to do is to write for it.
Well, fine. I'll have the letter in the mail in the morning.
Good, Jean.
And again,
you're on the button.
On your beautiful work.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Okay. So here we have, starting as usual from the furthest point away, I'm going to put in rather quickly because the next thing you know, this hour is going to be gone, and I want to be able to get as much of this amazing colorful tapestry that is before us as I possibly can. I'm using pure white and some cerulean blue to sketch in as simply and as efficiently as possible the wonderful cloudless sky that we experienced today after that almost indescribable rainstorm that hit the East Coast yesterday. So all things come to he who waits for the sun to come out. And here it was this morning in a remarkable display of color and clarity. The air was pure, and the wind was just right. The temperature was perfect. So all in all, the world seemed to be a most amazing place to live this morning. It probably is going to continue that way for another few days, and then wham, I think we're going to get smacked again. But anyway, as you see, as I'm jabbering away at you, I'm putting in with small, deliberate brush strokes. No 4-inch wide house painting brushes here. These brush strokes are done rapidly because this is merely a demonstration and a sketch, and it's not intended to be a Leonardo da Vinci. But let me take one more call. Hello? I hope many more. Hello?
Hi,
Tell
Pat.
me. Yeah, hi.
This is Eric. Remember me?
I do, Eric. How are you?
Good.
Your voice has gotten older already.
I know. I just have a couple questions.
Okay, Eric, go ahead.
I want to know where to get a palette knife, and I want to know where you got that paintbrush that you're using.
Okay, are you ready, Eric?
Yeah.
I got it at a place called Pearl Paint.
Okay, I've been there before.
That's where you get them. And just a little bit of extra information, you can buy a palette knife made of plastic for 79 cents, which is almost as good as the ones that you pay $8 or $9 for. Okay?
Okay.
Anything else on your mind, Eric?
Yeah.
What?
What kind of paint should I use to make my uncle in his wedding suit?
Your uncle in his wedding suit?
Yeah.
I have no idea, Eric. What, is he wearing a red suit? Maybe you'd use red.
No, wedding. It's black.
Okay. Eric, that would be almost impossible for me to answer. Can I extend an invitation that your mother or dad bring you up to the studio sometime and I can tell you then?
Okay, because my mom works there.
Well, Eric, you have no problem then.
Yeah.
You are in.
Yeah, I've been there a couple
I
times.
know. Well, why don't you come the end of October and come and see me?
Okay. Okay, so
Good.
I'll talk to you next time.
I hope so.
Okay.
I'm glad you called me, Eric.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, that's so nice. I do remember Eric. Eric is very good. Eric does some remarkable work for a critter. I mean, for a young man. I'm sorry. Critter is not the term. For a young man, he does beautifully. And he does beautifully even if he wasn't such a young man. He's done some quite nice things. I have seen him here a number of times. He's come to the Art for Open Lands. And so we're sort of buddies at this point. All right, while we were talking, I slipped in the little distance greenery because I've got to get all this done rather rapidly because as I say, I want to be able to get in a tremendous amount of stuff before this program is over. I'm using pure sap green to sketch in these distant greeneries that are back there, and we've got to get this thing so that the backgrounds are prepared to receive what is happening in the foreground. Here's that nice sort of delicious dark tree, and next to it is one that is a delicious green, but not quite as dark as that one, and that's with some white and a little bit of sap green. That looks to me like it might be a very oversized apple tree, big round wonderful apple tree that was not planted there but for decoration. I think that the bicentennial planted that apple tree in that little traffic island in front of us there. So as you know, as you can see, I can give you pieces of information that you never dreamed were there just by taking you to these various fascinating places, all within reachable distance of just about anywhere on Long Island, specifically Brookhaven Town. But now with Channel 1, Long Island 1, which we are everywhere, you can probably get to these places without any trouble with very little effort and further afield than usual. Here's that wonderful sort of a deep copper beach that's way off there in on that little traffic island. It's very dramatic and it's quite dark, and well, it's there and it's even darker than that, but I don't want it to rob me of the intensity of those flowers in the foreground. But as I've told you many times, I operate this way. I do the furthest thing first and then proceed on to the coming closer and closer until you wind up with the foreground and the signature in the lower right hand corner of the canvas. So I'm repetitive. I say things over and over again, but at least I'm consistent. I always say the same thing and show you pretty much the same thing every time I do one of these demonstrations. So here we are with a few minutes into the program, and two or three nice phone calls, and the background almost done, ready to start working on the foreground. Once again, to make sure that people understand, I do not intend that anything that I do here would turn out anything but a demonstration. When I sell these paintings for whomsoever decides to buy one, I usually try to point out that this is a sketch and an improvisation, just like it's the difference between playing a complete Mozart sonata and an improvisation at the piano. This is definitely an improvisation, and you must accept it in that spirit. Well, here we have the background. Well, it could be a little bit less crude, but we will maybe work on that later. Then comes in the getting closer is the traffic island with the sort of a kind of a palish sunlit green strip here where the road divides, and then now comes the putting in of all these amazing displays. Katie Beck is the sister of Al Beck Jr., and she tends to this farm stand. He is everywhere at all times. They have another farm stand in Miller Place on 25A and Sylvan Avenue on the corner, and they have this perfectly wonderful, really done with tremendous concentration on quality and visuals. They love my paintings, but I must admit that they are all of them smitten with the ability to become artistic with their products. They always did have a very beautiful display. Running all along the outer edge of this property here are pale yellow chrysanthemums, all in a row. It's just beautiful, and those are the ones that are 4 for $10. Whoever heard of such a thing? These are the pumpkins way off in the distance that have been displayed on hay bales, and so they've chosen to show these items standing up on top of hay bales. Of course, you can see them very clearly from a distance, and the sun hits the top of them. So every once in a while, you will see that the pumpkins are shining on the top, because they're round and shiny and bright and waxy looking, and so they will have highlights on the top of them. And over here, there's a whole bunch more of these probably hundreds and hundreds of pumpkins. So the harvest season on Long Island is a magical time. I'm sure that I am not the only one that appreciates the fact that here is a piece of land that sticks out into the water for 125 miles, but from it comes the most wide and wonderful variety of produce and flowers. I think that you would find just about anywhere in the world. The industriousness of the people who are involved in produce and who live here on Long Island is just really astonishing. You can see I'm giving you a very interpretive, very Manet-like kind of approach to doing these flowers. Manet is the one that was able to make you believe that little brushstrokes in a row represented water lilies and flowers and so on. So until I get to near to the foreground, that's what you're going to get from me. You're going to get little brushstrokes of color, which are going to try to convince you that they are in fact flowers. Here are some more orangey ones. These, the chrysanthemums that the Becks have come in probably all colors that chrysanthemums come in, and they put them in rows. So there are no sort of great dark holes when somebody's picked, let's say, a purple one out of a bunch of yellow ones and leave that hole. They have put them in rows, and so it makes the selection of these things really great fun. Here is the greens from the row in the back, and then there are some white flowers on top. I'll put those on later, but I'm using some sap green, and here is the interpretation of this is what to me is intriguing with doing flowers out of doors. Doing flowers indoors, I'm sure that you've seen me do them for an awfully long time, and I'm very, very concentrated on the shapes and anatomy of the flowers when I'm doing them in the studio in still life painting. But it's great fun to interpret these flowers when they're growing out of doors. You can sort of play a great deal with just the use of color. It's almost like working on a quilt without all the tediousness of sewing every little patch of color in. Here it gets daubed in with a brush that of course can run away with you with enthusiasm. I find that when the season comes, I want to be out of doors, and I want to paint all this stuff almost continuously until the snows come and knock it all out. All right, here comes the next row. With something which might be called sort of apricot colored, and very much the same as the other row, but maybe a little bit pinker. These are in such beautiful shape. I mean, they are some quality stuff. The hanging chrysanthemums are almost too difficult to describe. They're absolutely enormous. Yeah, another call. Hello there.
Hello.
Yes.
My name is Allison.
Hi, Allison.
I've been enjoying watching your shows for a number of years. My mother got me hooked.
Good for Mother.
And you commented on a pre-recorded show about admiring political cartoonists.
Yes.
Apparently you are one.
Well, you've seen my cartoons in the Herald?
Yes.
Okay.
I was going could that be a relation? And then I read the credits. I went, wait a minute, that's her.
All right.
And I just wanted to say I appreciate you doing some other genres.
Well, thank you. I wear many hats. There's no question about it. Sometime a little bit later in this program, please stay tuned, because I'm going to show you, I brought up a photograph of a mural that I did down in Virginia, and I think that you will see another hat that I wear when I show you the picture of that mural. I'll do it a little bit before the break.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yes?
Thank you very much, and I just wanted to say I, my boyfriend, and my mother really appreciate your work.
Well, I'm glad. I'm glad you have found true love, and I'm glad your mother is such a good television watcher.
All right, thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Oh, that's fun. The interest that I have in seeing what I'm doing here now, and may not be necessary to explain, but this is the shadow which is being cast by this great row of chrysanthemums. So I'm paying attention to the details. See, here's the shadow, and underneath here, this one doesn't have any shadow, but it does have dark places because there is so much foliage underneath here. So I'm sort of introducing some of the shadows of the greenery underneath these this bunch of chrysanthemums. Every once in a while you have to kind of separate this by putting a few little spots, as if there are some stray darker ones in here, to give it some texture. And the same thing happens here. It's not just a whole bunch of planes of color. You have to give them a little bit of texture. I learned this by really tuning into Mr. Monet's water lilies and some of his other remarkable paintings of Givenchy, which was his house and garden in France. And if anybody is interested in flower painting and painting them when they're out of doors in their own environment, by all means go to a library and find a book on Monet's water lilies. It is an experience which I think that you can benefit from, and it's also probably something that you didn't pay much attention to before, but because I'm always handing out homework to my viewers, there's some homework for the next time. Maybe I'll quiz you all on it the next time I come up. Here is the color is proceeding as time, of course, is proceeding, but I want you to sort of watch that I'm doing this in overlays. I overlay colors that go from the distance towards me. Here is the greenish foliage underneath this row of and it's a repetition of the other one, just slightly larger because it's coming towards you. This is the foliage underneath these chrysanthemums, and of course this all has to be done before this pot, which is here, gets painted, and it gives me a background for that pot. So all of this, there's a method to my so-called madness. The method is visible right here. Just want to make sure that what I do is comprehensible and logical, because even though I'm an artist is supposed to be flakes, we're all very logical in a way when we do our job. Because if it's not logical, then you're going to lose the audience. Your audience is going to say, I don't get it. And I'm afraid that that's a lot of the times what happens with the abstract paintings, that the logic has, I think, been left out of a lot of it. And one single red line running across a black field is logical to the artist, but it's not always translated to the eye of the viewer. So I'm not knocking modern art. A lot of it, I think, is quite wonderful and very exciting, and I've tried it myself, failed, but I'm just saying that I apply, or try to apply, some logic. Here's that shadow I'm talking about that is being cast by the foliage of those chrysanthemums. Okay, I have a call. Hello there, tell me your name.
Hi, my name is Peggy. I just wanted to say I love your work. You're a wonderful artist, and my mother-in-law watches your show all the time.
Good.
And I think she saw you today at the stand where you were taking this picture. Were you at this stand today?
Yes, I remember there was a lady there, and she looked at me, and we sort of knew that we were.
She watches your show all the time. She loves your work.
Good. And she was at the Beck Farmstand.
Yes, that was her.
What did she buy?
I think she bought some fruit.
Yeah, it's great, isn't it?
Yes, terrific. Okay.
Isn't it neat? It's so intimate.
Yes, it's very nice, and we love your work, and we watch your show all the time.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for calling.
Thank you for doing such lovely work.
Great. Well, call me again sometime.
Will do.
Good.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. See, I can hide from nobody. People's mothers are there, and I talk because I have a loud voice, and I was talking to Katie Beck, and she must have overheard that I was going to talk about this. I hope that Katie's watching the program. She said she would try to. They work so hard that I wouldn't be surprised if they all just sort of went home and just figured, say, oh, the heck with it, we got to go to bed. But anyway, Katie is another young dynamo who works very hard, as her brother Al does, and they are very concerned about the quality of their work. They also do something else that some farm stands have gotten into, but these people have gotten them into even better. They sell pies. And, oh man, well, they are sort of outrageous. They are so decadent. They're so good. They sell pies and glamorous fruits that are not always grown on Long Island, but if you happen to want an avocado, and we know they don't grow here, they're over there. But but the wonderful variety of the flowers, and I was saying before the other phone call came, there are some hanging chrysanthemums that are so huge that they are larger than any oversized lampshade. They hang with voluminous bunches of chrysanthemums hanging from them. They would need a rather large room to hang in, but are they dramatic and ever remarkable. What I'm doing while I'm talking to you is putting this grass in, which is what this farm stand has. It has a very large area of mowed grass. No pebbles here and mud, but really mowed, beautiful grass on which all these potted plants are on display. Who could ask for anything more? Here, and I've sort of put in another row that I know is there because I was there today, and there was another row here. So let me just sketch that in, even though it may not be in the monitor. Then I'm going to be able to be coming to the next row of chrysanthemums. A lot of detail can be done at the end, but I really want to work very hard and very fast to get a tremendous amount of this done before the end of the program, before that young man in the shadows there gives me a sign of cutting my throat, meaning your time is up. I have a call. Good. Hello there. Tell me your name, please.
Hello, my name is Marion.
Yes, Marion.
I just called to tell you that, first of all, I enjoy your painting.
Good.
And secondly, don't ever stop being a giant magpie, because you are the only painter on television that doesn't put me to sleep. I know exactly what they're going to say and when they're going to say it, and you are the only one. I never know what you're going to say, and you really hold everyone's interest.
Well, guess what? You're not the only one who never knows what I'm going to say. I am sometimes even surprised at what I come out with.
Well, I'm a sister in that line, then.
Good. Well, I'm glad. You know, I mean, is there anything more boring than something that's been said 18,000 times before?
No. No. But just keep doing what you're doing. We love it.
Thank you. Thanks. Give me your name again.
Marion.
Oh, yes, right. See, I'm the oldest flake in town. I couldn't even remember from one minute to the next. You and Marion.
Stay a flake.
Good.
Okay.
Flake time. Thanks for calling.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Well, so much for compliments, which are always gratefully received. Here, I lightened the lawn area over here. Now, way off in the distance here, there are white ones. I'm going to use a little bit of my drying oil because white, oddly enough, takes longer to dry than the other pigments. Something which I have known, don't question, I'm passing it on to you. The drying oil that I'm talking about is something called archival odorless medium. It is an oil, and unlike linseed oil, it does not sort of cause great puddles of salad dressing. It's a drying thing. It makes the oil a little bit more pliable, malleable, handleable, and it also enables these colors to dry much more rapidly. Something that I'm in need to find because I transport these paintings when I go back home to Virginia, and it's terrible when you've got everything that you own full of paint. So here we have the white ones way off there in the distance, and they're sort of polka dotted with some greens because through the white ones, the green seems to show more. I think that you'll see on the monitor that these little green specks here are very visible in those chrysanthemums way out. I'm just going to call them mums. Chrysanthemums is a little bit long, and I've said it now 80 times, and that's enough. Here are the stems of those mums in the distance, and I'm preparing that background for the wonderful sort of, ooh, what is that color? Russet toned ones. You know the color of those deep reddish brown, something wonderful orange looking things. So those are the ones that are coming up now. That color, let me see, what is that color? That color is rather perplexing. I think I will take a base of white, and I think I'll mix it right here on the palette, and everybody can see it as soon as Peter gets his cameras focused on here. There we go. Here is alizarin crimson and white. Here's a touch of burnt sienna. I think I need more crimson to get that really neat. Well, it sort of varies, but it's just these three colors. It's the burnt sienna, alizarin crimson, and white to give me this. Ooh, isn't that a nice tone? To give me the fabulously and impossible to describe colors of these deep red chrysanthemums. They have some little pale tones on the top because the sunlight strikes them sometimes, so we'll put those in right away, and that gives some texture to it also. But all of this is all very possible for anybody who is watching me to be able to do. You can, in fact, set yourself up just about anywhere. The Becks probably would be very happy to find anybody who wants to set an easel up someplace and paint these remarkable flowers. And their flowers, this is the season for these flowers. Guess what? There are many other seasons in which these people concentrate on different things. In April, a week before Easter, there is lilies and tulips such as you probably, as I said before, would expect to find in the botanical gardens in the Bronx. They are top quality, beautiful plants. That happens in April and May. Come summertime, there is this almost endless variety of fruits and vegetables, most of which are grown here right on Long Island, and greenhouse stuff too. So so that's the second season. We got summertime with the produce and the greenhouse grown flowers, and then when the fall comes, here is this enormous display of chrysanthemums and pumpkins. We're not finished yet. The month of December comes, and out come the most remarkable gang of poinsettias, which they have begun in August. Beck is out there in the greenhouses in August planting poinsettias, and by the time December comes, he's waist deep in brilliant red flowers. Well, they're not flowers, they're the leaves. I have to remember that I've got to show my total understanding of poinsettias, that the red things are not flowers, they are the leaves of the plant, and the flowers are little yellow guys. But anyway, this is what you can expect here, right here on Long Island. You don't have to go to Italy or Spain to see all this flower stuff. Or California. You've got it right here. And then come January, they decide finally that maybe they can just take off for a while, and they're gone between January and February. And then March, there are rumblings taking place on the corner of 25A right opposite the Catholic Church in Setauket, and the next thing you know, out come the spring. Out come the spring things. Jonquils and roses and you name it. Anyway, as I've been talking away at you, here is the tapestry almost, or almost a crazy quilt of these of this remarkable display of chrysanthemums. If anybody thinks that the flower market is concentrated in New York City in the 30s and 6th Avenue, they're wrong. That's right here. And the quality of it, of course, has not suffered from transportation. It is all fresh out of the greenhouse. Okay, the signal came. They want to take a break. I'm perfectly willing to do that because I need some more sap green on my palette, so I'll be back very shortly. Don't go too far. Yes, here we are back again, and of course, as my friend who just called said, continue being a flake, I was going to tell you about the mural that I just completed in Virginia in a high school, and it was a commission by the senior class. They wanted to buy a present for their school, and they commissioned me to do a mural. Well, there it is. It's on the screen, and you may as well know why that's what it is. They are called the Warren County Wildcats. That's their logo for the school. And so they asked me to come up with an idea, and that's the idea I came up with. The only difference is that that cat's head is 8 feet tall. It occupies 8 feet vertically, and the mural is 26 feet long, with the Virginia Blue Ridge Mountains in the background. And the Warren County Wildcat has his paws on the Book of Knowledge. And I chose the Book of Knowledge to say, observe, remember, compare, which I think Plato said. So that's the, and there's, I signed it and, wrote on a sort of a blue ribbon that it was the gift, that it was designed and so on by me and executed in August of was it August? Yes, August of 1993. And then it said it's a gift from the senior class of the school. So there I am at work on the mural, which was a wonderful project. It did not take that long. What took a long time was to get the idea of what to do there. In other words, but in the meantime, the young high school students have taken the opportunity to be photographed in front of the mural. The principal of the school gets people coming in and he takes them to the mural. So it's all been a very nice a community appreciation, I think, for that great big wildcat. It's a sort of arresting. You come up the stairs and you come to this wonderful old 1940s huge Renaissance-looking building, and there is an 8-foot wildcat's head. So it worked very well, and I thought that you might like to see it, wondering what I'm doing down there in Virginia all the time. Anyway, let's get back to this one, which means that we've covered some ground. There is definitely the illusion here that there is a farm stand and lots of plants for sale. And here's the denouement, as you might want to say, of the piece. The next few minutes are going to try and tell the story of the ending of this particular composition. As I said to you before, the entire fenced-in area of this farm stand is surrounded with literally hundreds of yellow chrysanthemums, all in a row. And sort of amazing. You don't expect to see that many in a row. Yeah, okay, another phone call. All right, hello there. Tell me who you are, please.
Hi, Pat. My name is Arlene.
Yes, Arlene.
I'm a faithful viewer, and first thing I wanted to ask you about was the type of brush that you're using tonight. What type are you using? Do you usually stay with the same type of brush throughout a program? the size of brush that you like to use ordinarily when you're painting?
Yes. Well, Arlene, actually, what I used for an awful lot of this is one of my favorite types of brushes, and that's an old worn-out one. This is an old worn-out brush, and it was a number something. It's all gone underneath the coats of paint. As you can see, this is a pretty valiant warrior, and you can see that the bristles are sort of shot, but it's what I want when I want this kind of an abstract look. If I want a very smooth and wonderfully controlled look, I will use a brush like this red sable, square cut, perfectly clean, and as yet undamaged brush. The shank is still shiny, and I have not managed to screw it up too badly yet. Of course, it's only a few days old, but by next week it may look like the other old warrior.
It doesn't have the mileage on it that the other one did.
Mileage and mileage, you know what mileage does on brushes? It cuts them down. I'll show you. Here's the difference. This one was a nice, great big long brush, and now there's virtually nothing left of it, but it's a wonderful one for abstract kind of forms.
And the older one is a bristle type brush?
Oh, always red sable. If you can possibly afford to buy one good red sable brush, probably a size, well, this one cost me $6.51. That's not that much, but it was reduced from $9. So this is $6.51. It's a sable blend. I got this at Pearl Paint in East Meadow. And it's what?
My favorite place.
Oh yeah, me too. And the whole world begins and ends at Pearl Paint as far as I'm concerned. And it's a number 8. So, pardon me, I'm choking to death. I'm hoping that that'll answer your question. Oh, the other one that I use is this one with great, long, wonderful, flexible red sable bristles that are this is still comparatively new, and that's what I did the drawing with.
Yes. Yes.
So, and I try my best to keep my brushes in good shape. It's my tool of employment, so I have to try and keep them in good shape. But when old warriors become worn out like this one, they still see duty here.
Sure, they still serve a purpose, right?
You bet. Depending upon what I want to do with them.
The only other thing I wanted to say before I let you go is that I find that it's a little bit hard to find you on the station. The times are not printed in the TV program things that come with the papers. So it's always kind of hit and miss with me to locate you. I know that you're on Tuesday night at 8 o'clock, but as far as the rest of the times that your show is on, I have a very hard time finding you. Is there any chance that Cablevision could notify, like the Times and the News, that print up those program guides?
I have earth-shaking news for you. You can get the program guide flashed onto your screen on Channel 14 at any time.
I'll be darned.
I'll be darned. Well, you see, we learn something new every day.
That's it. All right. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Channel 14 program guide.
Thank you.
Good. Thanks for calling. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Well, I'm glad that I got out of that one, because many times I sort of get stuck with these problems about how to find me. Okay. Time is, I'll do the right side of this thing later. I want to be able to get in on the finalization with that nice bucket that's in the foreground. Let me finish putting the greeneries underneath this so that the pumpkins have got a background that is going to be ready for me to overlay the pumpkins in this foreground here. It's quite dark because they're all sitting in very black pots, the black plastic pots, and that means that the background for my pumpkins is going to be quite dark. It's also casting a shadow, fortunately, on the lawn here that these plants are sitting on, and that gives me a time of day. This was sometime around 12 noon, and the shadow. Here's a shadow of the pumpkin right here. I'll put that in before I paint the pumpkin, and this guy gets a shadow too. So you know the sun's coming from over there. The sun's coming from this direction, and that's east. Yeah, east. So we have here now the need to do that nice farm basket. And there's a price tag on the farm basket, which I probably am not going to bother to put on, but it says $3.75 a pot, and the pots are 8-inch pots. Who can beat it? I don't know anywhere where you can beat that price. So here is here's that very pale yellow farm basket. The details of it are very interesting, and if I would were not doing a fast demonstration, I would probably concentrate a great deal on the way these baskets are built. But for the time being, I'm going to rely purely on my improvisational abilities by giving you the strokes of the way the basket are, a slightly darker rim around the middle, which is a little bit curved, because it is in fact a curve, circle, cylinder. And here's the lower one sitting in the grass. And the top one is going to have the same general form, but it's, yeah, same general form right there. And then the top of it is quite pale, which means that I clean the brush and get a very pale color up here on top. Oops, picked up the green, sorry. The pale color on the top, and then the next thing we do is to put that, see, time is running out and I'm panicking. I'm going to put that black plastic pot that is housing the mauve mums that are here at $3.75 a pot. Can you believe it? Anyway, there isn't a garden in the area that should be ablaze with color at that price. So here we have, and is that casting a shadow on there? Yeah, that's funny. It's casting a weird shadow going in the wrong direction. I'm going to put it in anyway. Okay. The green of the bottom of this plant is very improvisational done. This is what you call super abstract expressionism, something that I don't do very often, but when I do it I get really excited because it's not my thing, but I sort of really love to do it because it's so free. You can do all sorts of neat stuff with it. I am so disciplined with my literal rendering of things that when I get the freedom to play, I dearly love to just throw the color on. And let me see, this is casting a shadow. That label with the price of $3.75 a thing is casting a shadow, and that label is pale yellow. Let's see if I can get a clean enough brush to put that yellow label on there, and then I will not write $3.75. You just have to take my word for it. But that's where that little yellow label is stuck on that barrel. Does the barrel have a shadow? No. See, isn't that mysterious? The flowers have a shadow, the barrel has no shadow. Heck with it, I'm going to put one in because it offends me to think that I've been played a trick like that. I'm going to put a little shadow here for this barrel, see if it makes it work. I keep talking about how important shadows are, and all of a sudden then I'm loused up and there are no shadows. That's better. Anyway, now comes the pumpkins, and geez, time is, well, it's all right, we're not too bad. The pumpkins are a mysterious object. They are, you think they're round, and they're actually sort of round. And then you think that they're oblong, and then they're not really sort of oblong, they're sort of nebulous. And they have these nice ridges. The only thing that they really have that are going for them is the uniformity of color. Pretty much, they are pretty much all kind of orangey, golden, things. Naturally, they do have a tremendous variety of form, but for the most part, they are really silly objects. First of all, I can't imagine that anybody wants to eat these things. I think they're sort of disgusting. Pumpkin soup is okay, but you have to really be an expert to fix it. And if you ever try to hollow out a pumpkin in order to get the authentic cut-out pumpkin head, you can do it, not I. I have broken more fingernails trying to hollow out pumpkins than I think they're worth, but they are lovely sitting in a field and looking very, very festive on a brisk fall day. And of course, the kids go bananas when they are allowed to paint faces on them. So, yeah, I have a call. Good. Hello there. Tell me who you are.
Hi, my name is Elena. Hello.
Yes. Hello.
Hi. I'd like to know how long it will take you to complete this painting. When you go off the air, how long will you be working on this?
Well, your name again?
Elena.
Oh, Elena, if I decide to refine it, yes. There's no telling. I mean, I could go and refine this until I've got every flower properly recorded with the proper amount of petals. Yes. If I just decide to sort of let it ride the way it is and let it pass in life just as a sketch, sometimes those things are much more interesting because there's a spontaneity about them which you don't get after you've worked something over. Mm-hmm. You know, why do you ask?
Yes, well, as a matter of fact, I have so many paintings, and I never know when I'm finished with a painting, just as you're saying.
Neither do I.
I don't know how much more I have to add to, and so it's a dilemma.
Elena, I'll tell you something. I took out a painting that I did in 1982 the other day, and I repainted the background. Because I thought it was just plain ugly, and I couldn't imagine why I did anything so horrible looking, and so I figured now or never, I'm still alive, I can change it.
Oh, that's nice to hear.
Yeah, sure.
Do we ever see your completed paintings, the ones that you have been painting on air?
Well, yes, I can bring a whole bunch of them up sometime. I showed you the painting of my mural. Did you see that?
Yes, of course.
Yeah, so that was rather fun. It means that I have to transport them, but I always figure that it's worth the effort, and I think maybe I'll start bringing some paintings in that I have been working on lately.
Yes, that would be very nice to see.
Good.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Thanks for calling, Elena.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Okay. We are now, we're now graduated to this large, well, it's a little bit paler in color. I said that they were uniformly the same color. That was not so. Some of them are pale yellow and some of them are sort of more orangey. But they all do have a character, the same character of the ridges in them. And those ridges are identifiable. When you put the ridge in, you know you're looking at a pumpkin. Same thing as if when you put the ridge in, the strange markings on a cucumber, you know that it's a cucumber. So they all have their anatomical features, and the feature, of course, in a pumpkin is this ridge. They should be properly drawn. If they're not properly drawn, they won't be convincing, and they will sometimes be wiggly, which is great for people who shake somewhat when they do a line. And it also adds some interest when you wiggle it a little bit. Looks a little bit more like nature. And then the highlight, of course, is what tells you that the surface is shiny and hard, and not velvety like a peach. Ah, good. Here's another phone call. Hello there.
Hello.
Yes.
Hi, Pat. This is Elliot calling. I spoke to you once before.
I remember Elliot.
Do you?
You.
Oh, great. I was out painting this past weekend. I did the Fire Island Lighthouse. And
how was it?
It was a beautiful day. Saturday was just beautiful. And the question I have for you is, after I've completed the painting, very often I like to put varnish on them, and I know you have to wait a long time for the paintings to dry.
Yes.
But do you generally varnish your paintings, and if you do you just use a plain clear varnish?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, you don't put one of those darker varnishes on.
Oh, God forbid. No.
Yeah.
No, I kill you dead if you do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm glad that you told me what the weather was like, but when I said how was it, what I meant was how was the painting?
Oh, the painting's one of the nicest I've ever done, and I was thinking of you the whole time.
Oh, boy.
Yes, I was.
Well, that is a compliment that I will treasure, and I think it's amusing that your modesty is so overblown at this point with your painting that you told me about the weather instead about the work.
I was also curious if they're going to have another one of those art shows.
Yes, but not until 94.
94.
Yeah,
okay.
we're going to do it in the spring of 94. It was a little bit tight. I had problems about getting things ready. The station had problems also, and so on. Change of management and change of we became Channel 1, if you recall.
Yep.
And so the whole thing had to be somewhat postponed, but that's it's like any love affair. If you wait long enough, it gets better.
And you will announce it?
Oh, sure.
Okay, I'll be looking.
Well, Eric is...
Elliot.
Elliot. I'm so glad you painted.
Yep.
And gladder yet that you thought about me all the time.
I do. And
wonderful.
We try to catch you as often as... it's hard to catch you sometimes. We're not always sure when you're on.
I know. Did you just hear me tell the other lady about Channel 14?
No, what is that?
That's the program guide.
Oh.
So if you tune in Channel 14...
Oh, they'll tell us when you're on.
It will tell you when I'm on.
Excellent.
And no more hit and miss.
Okay.
Good.
I appreciate it.
Bye, Elliot.
Bye-bye.
Oh, I am certainly not as serious as I ought to be, I suppose. Here we go with the with even something maybe as unimportant as the stem of this thing, but it's important that it isn't just a green blob and that it has some kind of meaning, because everything has got a shape. Even something as insignificant as the cut-off, truncated stem of a pumpkin. Give it some shape and make it comprehensible. Give it some logic, in other words. You're getting a very tight close-up of this thing. What I'm giving you is an interpretation. What I am going to do, though, is to put a rather generous highlight on the pumpkins and make them really shiny. especially this fellow right here, and the highlight does not hit in the ridges. It hits between the ridges. So there's another anatomical characteristic of this pumpkin to be remembered by one and all if they want to be totally accurate. I don't think that too much detail is interesting because then it looks like a seed catalog, which we're trying to avoid. This does not meant to be look like seed catalog. Well, it is getting late. However, what I want to do is to show you the most delicious color in the whole spectrum is the mauve, which comes in these chrysanthemums. That mauve is going to be gotten not with purple, because that would be cheating, and besides that I didn't put purple on my palette. So I'm substituting the purple out of a tube with some cerulean blue and some alizarin crimson to get the tone of mauve that I believe these chrysanthemums are here in the foreground. Who can sort of resist seeing a mauvish, wonderful tone? It's a little too dark. Let me see if I can get a little bit paler of this potted chrysanthemum that is against the apricot colored sort of orangey mums in the background. And who can kind of ever forget the I'm going to get corny, symphony of color that you see at the harvest time. Oh, another call. Hello there.
Hi, my name is Jen.
Jenny?
Yes.
Yes, Jenny.
I was just wondering how you choose your scenes to paint.
How I choose my what?
Your scenes that you paint.
Oh, well, they have to talk to me. I mean, I have to, first of all, I drive around and I look for things, and believe me, in this area, it's not hard to find them. So I determine whether I want to work with color, if I want to have something very dramatic or something very plain, something very simple, something just plain calm or even exciting. It depends.
Oh, you do beautiful work.
Thank you for calling.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Bye.
Well, here we have just a little quick interpretive study of what these purple little chrysanthemums are like. And I notice on the close-up that almost all of these flowers have got little round, wonderful buds waiting to come out, and they're sort of like little polka dots on ties. They are little bright spots waiting to burst out. But they make for such fun little cute sort of decorative things, these little dots of color. Well, over here, as I recall, there was a whole bunch of other wonderful toned mums in a row over here. And as the program is rapidly coming to an end, I would say that probably it is obvious that this kind of a composition can be done very interpretively or very detailed. I kind of like the idea of having it interpretive. Me and money. I would not imagine that I would ever live long enough to see one of my paintings sold at auction for $3.5 million, but you can never prevent somebody from dreaming. However, Manet and the classic painters are the ones that I kind of look to for guidance and for information. They have helped me throughout my career to find my way, the classic ones, because I'm a classic painter. If I were an abstract expressionist artist, I would be probably relying upon some other people like Jackson Pollock or Andy Warhol, but I turned to the classic ones. I like the American classic painters probably more than any of the others, but Manet gets me with his outside flower paintings. So with 1 minute to go, I have a young man that signals me in the deep shadows of the studio here and puts one finger straight up in the air, and that says 1 minute to go. That's okay. I think that enough was accomplished for you to understand what I was about here with this particular painting. Naturally, there is a question of signing things. People always want to know how to sign them, and I think I'll use my this brush that I've been bragging about. Where is it? It's gone. Okay, I'll use the other one. It probably fell down. No, there it is. And a nice fluid tone, a little bit of the oil that I talked about, and a good, strong and fluid signature, I think, is probably the most intriguing. Here, I kind of like to work it with this brush. You can see the way this brush reacts to writing. It's really quite wonderful. And don't forget, it's a red sable striping brush that will, if you get enough paint on it, which I didn't, which will do just about anything you want. Let me finish signing my name before I close this program. It'll only take a second, and maybe we'll just be on time. There we are. Well, that's an hour, all right, and I'm sure glad you called, whoever did, and the other people who are watching. I hope you got something. This is it. Pat Windrow at the Cable Easel once again with a demonstration that takes an hour, should have taken 3 weeks. Tune in wherever you can. Channel 14 has the program guide. You'll find out when I'm on if you do that. Bye-bye.